Hello, my name is Kimberly Rivera, and I am a junior at Mount St. Mary College, and this is my presentation on integrating theories of learning into the classroom. So this whole presentation is just sort of from my own standpoint of view and how I feel about the subject. So first things first, what are your takeaways? So throughout this class, we talked about a lot of learning theories, but something that I like to remember is no child left behind. I like the whole concept that literally no child is supposed to be left behind, and that's something that I added into my educational philosophy. I don't believe in standardized testing because I don't feel like that is the greatest point in which a teacher should base all of their evidence on. And I liked how Obama was trying to redo everything and actually get the No Child Left Behind Act flowing how it should be. So the top 5 priorities, I also have them listed because I think that that's very important for all teachers to keep in mind. And next are assessments, formative and summative assessments especially, because that's basically what we talked about in the assessment section. And a little quote that I took part of is, rubrics should neither be too specific nor too general. So what I mean by this is that rubrics, they're really general, or they're really specific on something, and some students can't just be based on the rubric. They need more than just a typical type of rubric to look at in order to base on their scores. So that's something I would like to remember. Something else is Erickson's stages of psychological development. This was probably one of my favorite parts to read in the text, just because I like to read how complex everything gets as age goes on, as you can see in the picture. Sorry, it keeps lagging. I really enjoyed the learning disabilities section, but I like to call it learning differences because that's just how learning is. I don't believe that there's actually real disabilities. I like the whole concept that every learner is just different and they all learn in their own way. So the quote that I took is, it is difficult to determine exactly which came first, learning problems or the brain differences, and that's how I see it. It's pretty hard to tell if it's just like the learning issues that people go through, or if it's actually something that's going on in their mind. I also want to keep in mind the creating learning environment section, which I personally would like to say schools, no bullying, and especially classroom management. And my next question was, how will you physically arrange your classroom and why? So here's my future classroom floor plan. As you can see, I have all the type of learning centers. I have a meeting area right next to the smartboard. I actually have iPads included, and I like my little small group table that's up in the right corner. And some specific arrangement details about that is that the built-in library that's all the way in the back, I actually plan to have level readers from A to P because I see myself being either a first or second grade teacher. There's a variety of genres, fiction versus nonfiction, and read-alouds. And in the science or social studies center, the subjects will alternate weekly because usually you don't have just one set science center or one set social studies center. I like to try to alternate it to give the students some more things to look at rather than just limiting them. The small group table, the purpose of this table is for teacher-student conferences, small group work, extra reinforcement, guided reading, and extracurricular activities like art. I think that it's really important for a student and a teacher to have that close-up connection and that personal private time where the teacher can check up on and see how the student's doing. And the important visuals, which is also what the built-in library is where the strategies, posters, and primary visuals will be posted for the students to refer to as needed. I would arrange my classroom like this because a classroom should be well organized, not cluttered. I don't like going into a fully cluttered room, especially with students. I'm sure that they can't really read anything if it's all cluttered all the time. I would also like to have all views of direction in my classroom, so I would like to see all the students at all times. I don't like having to see a teacher turn their back to a student. It's not so student friendly, and it's not really inviting to the students to know that the teacher is showing that they're not really caring. There is no desk in my classroom because I don't believe in having a desk. There's really no purpose for it in my eyes in an elementary classroom. The teacher should always be up close with that face-to-face interaction. They shouldn't ever be at their desk reading a newspaper or just doing work while the students are doing work. They should be walking around and observing. I also would like to give the students an opportunity to foster independence, yet they should experience collaboration, which is why I still have those learning centers there, and I still have group tables, but when they want little me time, they can come to the small group table, or they can still come and sit down in the reading room and do some quiet time. So what procedures and rules will you establish to manage your students in classroom? Some classroom procedures, I only listed the arrival routine and the dismissal routine. And in my arrival routine, everyone would quietly walk into the classroom, unpack their backpacks, turn in homework, put take-home folder in their mailbox, make lunch chores, and sit on meeting rug and read until class starts, which is usually either at like 8:10 or probably after the announcements. The dismissal routine is a total process where I feel like it's sort of random, and they would wait until their name or their table or their group or wherever they are is called. And first they would bring their backpack or their jacket to their seat, check their mailbox and get their homework folder, put their homework folder into their backpack, make sure their desk is nice and neat for the next day, push in their chair, and then line up quietly. So some classroom rules. This I really like. It's called Give Me 5. It stands for eyes are watching, ears are listening, lips are zipped, hands are still, and feet are quiet. And I would use Give Me 5 as a redirection strategy. Normally I would say Give Me 5 if the students are getting too loud or getting too rowdy and they're not really paying attention to what I have to say. I usually say Give Me 5 and just put my finger over my mouth just to tell them that it's time to be quiet and it's time to listen. Some golden rules are that we are a team, we respect each other, we take risks, we learn from our mistakes, we try our best, we create, we dream big, and we celebrate each other's success. So I believe in this whole golden rule kind of routine where the students, it's not like those typical rules like no hitting, no punching. Of course, it's not allowed in the classroom, but these type of rules are just to keep a positive atmosphere and an effective classroom environment for me to teach in. And some other procedures. There are a lot of procedures that I would incorporate in my classroom, and while searching for more, I came across 30 classroom procedures to head off behavior problems that was provided by Scholastic Teacher Resources. I would use several of them. Most of them are in small groups or to line up, but I really think that all of them are very outstanding. So, what physical, cognitive, emotional, cultural, and social aspects of the student population do you intend to work with, and how will you incorporate that information into your classroom management and instructional design? So when I first read this question, I was a little iffy on how I would answer, but for the diverse student population, I would personally say that I fully intend to work with a wide range of student population with regards to physical, cognitive, emotional, cultural, and social aspects. As a future special educator, I welcome the whole student population because every student deserves the opportunity to learn, and will work to the best of my abilities to ensure that the students will be successful. Every child learns differently, which is why I need to be knowledgeable and able to differentiate learning and teaching styles for every student. So I fully intend on working with all students, no matter what, and I know that in this type of situation, I would have to be flexible with my teaching and be able to adapt to any type of situation I'm in. In classroom management and instructional design, Depending on the aspects that affect each child, I would adapt my classroom management and instructional design techniques. An example would be, instead of labeling items with just words, I would place pictures or symbols for the students to get a different visual for something, such as instead of having a bathroom pass on a hook, I would have a picture of a toilet or something of that nature, so that the children can be able to identify on their own that that is the bathroom pass. What educational philosophy and key theories will guide you through your teaching decisions? So first is my own educational philosophy, which is the whole purpose of education is to turn mirrors into windows. So, what do I necessarily mean by that? The reason why I stand by this quote as my educational philosophy statement that will guide me through my teaching experiences is that I believe that every student can fly with the right inspiration, motivation, support, and instruction. A mirror just shows a reflection, so the student is just looking at themselves as an individual. But when it turns into an open window, the student can soar on their way and strive with knowledge to be successful throughout their lifetime. So I see when students first enter a classroom, I see it to be very petite and very quiet, and they don't really want to open up to anything. They just sort of stay to themselves. But when they reach into school and they further their education, they're able to set out free on their own, and they can soar and continue on in life. Lev Vygotsky's socio-cultural perspective really reflects on how I believe in teaching. I believe in the whole social type of interactions very heavily. Vygotsky believes that human activities take place in cultural settings and that they cannot be understood apart from these settings, which means that they need that social interaction, and as long as they have it, they can learn. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I really enjoyed reading about this just because I like seeing all of the different types of needs that kids need. And as they grow up, it gets more complex, sort of like with Erickson's. And I really believe that that will have an impact on the way I teach. So, how will you use learning theory to manage classroom behavior and engage students in active learning? These are the traditional learning theories and the digital age theory. I would use all of the learning theories that are mentioned in this photo because a combination of all four will create a concrete foundation for learning in the classroom. So what I mean by this is that a combination of all of these type of learning theories can really go a long way rather than just choosing one or choosing two. I prefer to use all of them, and I might not use all of them at one time, but I would use all of them eventually. And I would design lessons to incorporate all of the learning theories. So I wouldn't just focus on just constructivism. Even though constructivism is one of my favorites, I don't think that I would necessarily just use that one. And what learning process and goals will you use to maximize student learning? So the learning process that I would use is plan, reflect, do, reflect, check, reflect, change, reflect. And this learning process provides the students with multiple opportunities to constantly reflect on their work and explain themselves. So I really like this type of learning process because the teacher can use it too. The teacher can reflect on how they're doing and how they can see what their students are doing. So it's a learning process that's a win-win situation for the student and the teacher. And goals. I have a little link there that you can see where I got these goals from, but the goals that I would focus on are knowledge and conceptual understanding, physical, cognitive, emotional, or social skills, and attitudes, values, dispositions, and habits of mind. These are all really important to incorporate, whether you do it all at once or do it separately. It's all a worthwhile type of experience to always have something that relates to these type of topics in your goals. And so thank you for listening. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to email me on my Mount St. Mary email below or just my little references. And thank you so much for listening. Bye!